Your click-through rate starts with programming and understanding why your audience is there, and then making a programming choice as to what video you are going to make to super serve that audience of people that are there for you.
Hey, I'm Fred.
And I'm Ant.
And this is Create a Generation.
Create a generation of hype.
Of course, people are always going to ask about optimization and optimization tips. It is pretty much the number one question we get. So in today's video, we're going to chat to people like Gielen, who is a bona fide guru in the space and pretty much the smartest person when it comes to the YouTube algorithms. We're also going to chat to channels like Bounce Patrol, which have over 10 million subs. And for them, a poor performing video is one that gets 20 million views. 20 million views. Let's get into it.
The way we talk about it here at Little Monster, when we talk about it with our clients, is that we say that your click-through rate, your audience development actually starts on the whiteboard, right? Before you've ever shot a frame, edited anything, even thought about a thumbnail or a title, it starts on the whiteboard when you make the decision of what am I going to make a video about, right? So if you're Mr. Beast and you say, I'm going to make a video about giving away $100, you can pretty much bank on the fact that your click-through rate is going to be much lower than if you say, hey, I'm going to give away $10,000, right? And so from that perspective, it's primarily knowing why your audience is watching, right? And why your audience is watching can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And that's where like good data analysis and even just reflective meditation on your content can go a long way, right? So in that regard, what is the main driver of your viewership? And at Little Monster, we think there's four kind of main drivers of viewership. First and foremost is that someone's interested in the topic, right? And that's by far the worst place to be. And right now, our Little Monster YouTube channel is by and large driven by topic, right? If I post a video that says reverse engineering the algorithm, it's going to get 1,500 views or more in the first 7 days. The video I posted today, which they said was 10 out of 10. I think that's the good thing, right? No, it was performing horribly. The video released today is how to make better interviews, which is part of our taxonomy of digital video series where we break down popular YouTube formats into kind of their base elements and talk about how you can make better content like that. Well, my audience doesn't do a lot of interview videos, right? Or at least there's not a large percentage. And so there's not going to be very many of them clicking to watch this video because it's not relevant to them. That's not why they're on our channel. Now, it's important to us from a branding perspective to have these videos and to see that, but a good piece of feedback for me, the person who programs this YouTube channel, would be that the title here sucks, right? Because it's not relevant to my audience, right? A much better title would be something along the lines of what you can learn from interviews to get more viewership, right? Because now it's relevant to everyone, right? Not just the people who make interview or Q&A videos. Right now, it's really exclusionary, where only people who do that type of video would find this video to be relevant to them. So topic is a terrible place to be, and it's the place where we were with Channel Frederator when we were doing 107 Facts, which became our big series there. And we do 107 facts about Adventure Time. We do 107 facts about Fairly Odd Parents and so on and so forth. And what we do is we'd pull in hundreds of thousands or millions of views and viewers for those individual IPs. The problem became that, once we had a lot of that, we had a lot of momentum and a lot of viewership. Well, if we got 10 million viewers to watch Adventure Time, 107 facts about Adventure Time, right? Only maybe 5 million of them would also be interested in our Fairly Odd Parents, right? And maybe only 2 million of them would be interested in our Gravity Falls, right? And so over time, we start hitting less and less of our audience for the same show, right? Where people aren't interested in the topic because they're only interested in a handful of cartoons, so they don't click on it. If that happens a few times, YouTube stops serving them our videos and our channel eventually goes into a death spiral because people were only there for the topic, right? The three other reasons why someone might be on your channel are far better. First and foremost is style, right? Now, there are very, very few YouTubers or YouTube channels that have production quality so high or so unique from a stylistic perspective that people are just going to watch for their style. But a great example is MKBHD, right? Now, tech review and product review type channels generally perform horribly. There's only a handful of standouts, mainly because they're usually utility channels, right? Where people are there for the particular product that they're reviewing or topic of that video, right? And have no reason to watch other than if a video has specific meaning to them. Right? MKBHD is not that case. He is an entertainer, right? If you watch his videos, those are artistic fucking masterpieces, tech reviews, right? You've never seen a fucking tech review that looks like that. They're unbelievably good. He's also very interesting, right? And very authentic on camera, and you can believe him and has built up a reputation, and that's all well and good, but he's one of the few examples of why someone might just watch it for style, right? The other two reasons are personality and format. So let's look at personality first, right? And this is where a lot of the maybe you're just not that interesting comes from. You know, being a YouTuber is the number one job that teenagers want to have when they quote unquote grow up in America, at least, right? And what you're basically doing, say, I'm going to be a vlogger, right? You're saying, I am so much more interesting than the rest of the population that people are just going to watch me for my personality, right? Sometimes that is the case, right? Sometimes there are creators that just stand out, right? PewDiePie is one of them. And put all the other shit to the side about PewDiePie. But people watch PewDiePie because they love watching him. They're there for him. There's nothing unique about his format, right? There's tons of people playing Minecraft and making funny videos about Minecraft and doing that sort of thing, right? But people love his personality and they watch for that, right? They're certainly not watching for the style, right? I think he's still shooting on a webcam from fucking like 2014. Right? His videos look horrible, right? Now they sound okay, but they're not there for the style. They're not there for the format. They're there for him. And they have a shared interest in the topic. But when you are single-handedly responsible for bringing back a game that is over a decade old, right? People are there for you and are listening to you. He is a influencer, right? So that's personality. And then the final place, which I believe is the best place to be, is people are there for the format. All right. There's no better example than the React channel, right? No one really cares about the people they have on there, and they always have a different rotating cast of people. The only time that is not the case is when they do YouTubers react, and a lot of times people are there for the YouTubers because they watch their other stuff for their personality, but by and large, it's just randos from the fucking valley, right? And so people are watching because they like to watch react videos, right? And watch along and laugh at the people reacting or see what their reaction is and compare that, right? And so those are the 4 reasons someone would watch a video, we believe, right? And so in that regard, if you look at your content and say, wow, people are really here for the topic, right? Well, then you need to make a shift. And that shift needs to be towards one of those other 3. And I would highly encourage it being format, because what format means is that it's not necessarily about you, the personality, which means 1, eventually you can go off camera, right, and run a media company. But 2, it means they're going to watch every video regardless of the topic, which means your videos are going to have high click-through rate, right? Because everybody wants to watch your next video, not just you, because you as a star will eventually dim, right? Almost every star in the history of the world, their star has eventually dimmed, and it happens at a very accelerated rate on YouTube, right? There's only a handful of people that have had longer than like 3-4 year careers on YouTube in terms of like they got big, they kept growing, or they stayed big for an extended period of time that didn't have a format that gives people a reason to watch. All right, so programming. Your click-through rate starts with programming and understanding why your audience is there, and then making a programming choice as to what video you are going to make to super serve that audience of people that are there for you. From there, it's your thumbnail and title, right? If you want to talk about making good thumbnails, we can talk all day about like what makes a good thumbnail, but generally speaking, what makes a good thumbnail: close up on face, strong emotion, high contrast, bright colors, objects in the foreground stand out from the objects in the background. Try to avoid text if you can, and have eye contact with the viewer if possible.
Color is a big thing. I think with adults, it's more about a compelling image, and that might just be something that's really intriguing, like, a brain or something like that. And then it's a video about, the way we think. You could just have an image like that that's really kind of sort of draw you in. But for kids, it's also about it needs to really be eye-catching with lots of bright colour, lots of saturated colour, and still be quite simple. So our most successful thumbnails don't have a whole heap going on. They're enough to convey the message and they're enough to be enticing. But when you put too many people in the thumbnail, or you put, text or something like that, and there's a lot going on, that doesn't necessarily resonate.
Interesting. How do you test all the stuff with kids though? I mean, with adults it can be pretty methodical, but with children it can be a little bit
it's really
nuts.
tough.
Yeah.
I mean, ever since the real-time stats came out in analytics, that's been quite helpful as well, because I do change the thumbnail once a video has been released. And I have a pretty good case study of that from one video that I put a thumbnail up for that I thought was going to be pretty good, and changed it, saw that the video wasn't performing as well as I would have expected based on what the video was, and changed the thumbnail, and immediately the real-time views doubled within the next hour. And then that video went on to get recommended in the algorithm, and it's now got 250 million views, something like that, which it wouldn't have if we hadn't changed the thumbnail. And it was just a really simple, we went from having like a jellyfish, a person dressed in a jellyfish costume at the center of the thumbnail, and we changed it to a cow. And it just was way more recognizable, and it was a different look. And it's just really simple things. And you can kind of work it out sometimes, but if I'd known that the cow would have been more popular, that would have been the first thumbnail I went with out of the gate. So sometimes it's just trying to judge. But I do show thumbnails to the kids in my life and see which pictures they like. And then I also have a Photoshop template where I will put it next to a bunch of other thumbnails. So, it's a screen that I will put competitor thumbnails up against, and then I'll shrink mine down to the size that it's going to look like on a phone, and then see next to those, do the colours stand out enough? Is it bright enough? Is it the kind of thing that draws my eye? And I usually have about between 5 and 10 thumbnail designs for each video that I have designed, that I'm narrowing down. So I don't just design one. I usually have 2 or 3 kind of backups ready to go, but I'll work through a lot of different designs for a video too.
That's an awesome tip about having the template with the competitors ones.
Yeah.
And seeing how that actually looks rather than just...
Yeah,
I mean, just shrinking it down to a small size and looking at it is beyond a lot of people.
Yeah,
process, so.
But that particularly if all you're competing on initially is the thumbnail, you really need to know. And I mean, it's the same with content that's designed for grown-ups. If you think about your content and where your content is going to be selected, like picture your home feed and you think about the other videos that you see there. If you saw your thumbnail and title, would you click on yours? Like with everything else that's going on in your home feed, is yours the most compelling one that you would click on? Because if the other creators that you love are making titles and thumbnails that are more compelling than yours, then other people are going to be clicking on those too. So it's just about making sure that you're really confident that you're going to stand out in that crowd.
It's basically, if you think about it like a giant robot, right? And it has certain rules, hidden rules maybe. And there are ways to be able to figure out how you can cater what you're creating in a way that more people will be able to find it, right? So this is something that I figured out when I first started. It's just reverse engineering what's already on YouTube and then being able to adapt it to your own content, right? So, for instance, getting your name out there at the start. You can't create original content like about yourself because no one's going to care. No one knows who you are. But if you start making content about like an IP that's already out there that people know about, that already has fans, if you create something that adds something to that and helps other people or entertains other people in that little I guess just waiting pool, then you can start to build a following from that, and then you can start to, I guess, just pivot towards other areas. And so I'm pretty sure PewDiePie did that, really. He started with gaming, where people are already playing the games, there's already fans of the games, and then he put his personality out there to be entertaining. And now he does, I don't even know, all kinds of like weird and wonderful ideas every day. And you couldn't really do that if you were just starting out because no one would be able to find you. But now that he's established, he can do that. And so, yeah, you have to be able to work in a way where you're contributing something that people can find. I mean, the robot can only do so much for you. I mean, you can cater your content all you like to 10 to 20 minutes or whatever the ideal one is, and using the right tags and everything. But you have to be able to know if there's people that can find that thing, and then if it's quality enough that they would continue to watch you, and you can diversify a bit more after that. YouTube is just a really complicated math equation that you have to figure out based on the examples of other stuff that's out there, and then try and do the same thing with your content. Titles and thumbnails are my favorite part. This new channel is basically that. I love it. Like, it's just coming up with intriguing titles for like stories we've already done or stories that we're working on, and coming up with a thumbnail that encapsulates that, or has something unexpected is by far my favorite part. The other stuff like tags and stuff, like, yeah, I think that when we started really taking off with our videos, SEO is cool and everything. Like, it helps you with discoverability. But I think that it's really more important to focus on understanding why people like your content in the first place. You make something, and you need to figure out like who is watching it and why they're interested in it. Because if you keep changing it, then you're going to lose your audience. And you got to make sure the quality of what you're making is the best it can be. And if you start to not care about what you're making, people are going to notice a drop in quality anyway.
Sometimes the ones that we don't expect to do well, I think they don't do, or we don't expect them to do well because we're not super interested in the product, or we already know what the outcome's going to be or something like that. But other people are surprised to see it, or the product is like really visually appealing.
Yeah, that's often like the thumbnail often captures people.
Yeah.
But I also found that probably about 18 months ago now, we started our Instagram page, and we started by putting little clips of our past videos, and then they didn't get many views on our Instagram page, but I found that a lot of other people re-gramming them. All of a sudden these videos were getting millions and millions of views, and we weren't even getting credited. And then online magazines started picking up the trend, and we're like, is this a new trend? And so I think when that sort of happened, and that happened over a couple of months, all the videos we were uploading in that time got a lot more traction from random news sources. So it was random.
In terms of beauty, I have a lot of cross promotion with my other social media platforms, and I've started this thing on my Instagram in which I tell people to this is how you got to do it now. You got to cross promote. That's how you drive traffic to your channels, basically, right? Organically, because I don't want to buy stuff, and I never have. So for me to stay organic, this is the only way I can really connect with people on like such a niche topic. So I always tell them, like, if you try this, send me a photo of you doing it. And if it works for you, send me a photo and I do a shout out. So they will be featured on my stories, or they will be featured on my page if it works for them. And then I always give shout outs.
So one of the ideas was change the titles of some of the videos. As soon as we did that, my husband noticed in the analytics that the views and everything drop like so fast. And I think that was one mistake, like to change.
Was that for one of the most popular videos, or one of the?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we often help YouTubers change things like titles, and we often see a big increase. But usually we don't do that for the top videos. If the top videos are doing well, we just leave the titles.
Yes.
Create a generation of hype.